Hey everyone, and welcome back. I'm Kevin Baxter at Baxter's Garage, the home of Pro Twin Performance in Winder, Georgia. In this installment of Harley Tech Tips, we'll recap our live episode with John from Darkhorse Crankworks and dive a little deeper into the evolution of Harley Compensators. Today, I'm going to show you why the Man of War Motorsprocket from Darkhorse is a great choice, so you'll want to stay tuned. Before we dive into compensators, I want to say thanks to our newest channel members for supporting us. Scott Wade, Rick Woodruff, Frank Whaley, thanks guys. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, click the link above to find out more info. Also, please take a moment to subscribe and hit the thumb if you like the content. I appreciate it. Now let's get started. Other than coil spring type many years ago, compensators remained virtually unchanged up until 2007. And what they are, they attach inside the primary, the big chrome cover on the side of the engine, on the left-hand side, inside the primary on the sprocket shaft of the crank, and it's pretty much your direct link to the transmission. It's made up of a primary chain sprocket, a spring pack, and some ramps. Now its job is to absorb or kind of soften the pulses, from the engine as it's rotating. Now up through 2006, they look like this. Okay, so what you have is a nut, ramps, the sprocket. See the ramps right there? And then inside the cover, there's a spring pack integrated. This assembly goes together and rocks back and forth like this. You can see the sprocket moving. Okay. Now again, that's absorbing engine pulses, and the spring pack is keeping everything together. In 2007, they integrated the spring pack into the rotor, and it looked like this. See the spring pack? This is the rotor. This is the ramp assembly. The sprocket that goes on top. And it works like that. This design was a miserable failure for the most part. Then this design came along a couple of years later in the Screaming Eagle product line. After that, they became original equipment on trikes, and then a couple of years later, standard equipment on pretty much everything. So notice how much bigger the diaphragm springs are. They're no longer integrated into a rotor, and the ramps on this assembly are a lot more significant. See there? And it works like that. Now behind this nut has a small washer. It's a fiber washer, and it's pretty much a wear item that serves as a bearing surface to lubricate between the nut and the sprocket itself as the thing rotates back and forth. Now after this, there was another variation where they replaced this fiber washer with a wafer thrust bearing, and this required a plastic piece to be glued on the inside of the inner primary to splash oil on it and to keep it lubricated. So a bit of a tech tip. How do you know when you need a compensator? So here's a few things to look for. If your bike clunks when you turn the engine off, I'm sure you've all heard it, or clunks between gears, or if you have a tough time finding neutral, most likely a bad compensator is the cause. One other quick way to check, put the bike in first gear, not running, then rock it back and forth. If you hear a clunk in the primary at the front, then yours is probably worn out. A worn out compensator can do a ton of damage. It can wear out main drive gear bearings in the transmission, it can beat the clutch basket to death, and in worst cases, damage the crank sprocket shaft. So, it's a pretty important component to have working right. Now, you guys know I'm an engineer. I like simplicity as long as it functions well. This is where the Man of War Motorsprocket comes in from Darkhorse Crankworks. You may have seen it during part 2 of our latest crankshaft video toward the end. It's a simple two-piece design that utilizes Viton rubber bushings to cushion the engine pulses. So there's no bearings to disintegrate, no springs to weaken, and the best part about it, if the bushings do wear out over time, they can be rebuilt with new bushings for less than 40 bucks. Guys, the product is a real deal. That Motorsprocket is it. It solves problems. It works. I'm behind it 100%, and no, it's not a paid advertisement. So you guys know me. I won't bring it to you unless I believe in it, and this is the real deal. So if you'd like to order one from us, you can click the link above or give us a call. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments below. I'd like to hear some of your feedback and your experiences with your stock compensators. So as always, guys, thanks a million for watching. Take care of yourselves and each other. Hope you have a good one.